Yeah. Um, well, I'm glad you mentioned that. I wanted to talk to you about that. In the beginning, you didn't have. I wanted to talk to you about the budget. You kind of
Yeah.
mentioned it and how you didn't have the greatest
Right.
support.
Yeah.
Um, and so, how did you approach that as head coach? Because for years you didn't have any scholarships, or you have very little
Yeah.
money, and then you got more money,
Yeah.
and then you got, after I left and years later, whatever, I think you got more and more, but I
Yeah.
don't ever think you were fully funded,
Right.
or as funded as well as other programs. I mean, there were some other programs in the conference were probably funded less, but I know, like, I know for a while Long Beach and Northridge were funded pretty well, and
Yeah.
um, when did you? What was your expectation? Like, I still got to compete. I know I'm still head coach. I still got to compete. I still want to win. But
Yeah.
when did you feel like the support grew enough where you
Yeah.
started winning the conference championships?
Right.
When I was there, we were close. We were getting there, and it was.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. I love coaching at Cal State
Yeah.
Fullerton. I told people, well, one reason I left, I didn't think we were going to get any better. I think we had plateaued just from a financial standpoint. And
Right.
I tell people, like, I was like, we're kind of, we can't go any better because we just don't have the funding to
Right.
recruit anymore. So
Yeah.
when you were always there, you weren't leaving. When did you see, like, okay, now we can compete and win
Yeah.
conference?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, you mentioned the plateaus, and that was the thing. We're not having the funding, and scholarships and even travel or operating stuff too. We would build it up,
Mm-hmm.
and we'd hit a plateau, and it would
Yep.
drop back down, and
Yep.
then we would build it up over 4 or 5 years, and it would drop back down.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was this cycle where we get to a certain level, maybe third or fourth in the conference, or something like that. And then it would drop back. Then we drop that back down to the bottom. Then we build it back up. And even with my coaches, the assistant coaches, it was they would build stuff up, and then they might get head coaching jobs or higher profile jobs or whatever. So it was this process of replacing coaches and getting that, getting a building it back up again. But yeah, in 2016, the school passed it's called the Student Success Initiative, and it was a fee referendum to help support athletics and some other programs on campus. And that was huge. We got fully funded on scholarships for in-state, uh, and so 18 on the women, 12.6 on the men. And we had to change our mindset, right? And that was the biggest thing. It was developing a championship culture before we were a championship team,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that's one thing that we started right away. Every recruit we talked to starting in 2016 was, this is what we're building. We're building we're looking for kids that have a championship mindset, that they're going to go to class, they're going to, do the right things, and they want to win. And so we started developing that culture, bringing those kids in before we won. And and without the resources, we couldn't have done that, right? We couldn't have legitimately done that. We tried to win,
Mm-hmm.
we were competitive and tried to be as competitive as we could. But when we got the funding, we went for it, and it paid off really quick. I mean, we won our first championship in spring of 2000, men's track championship in spring of 2017, and won three out of the next four men's track championships. And we won a women's track 2019, and then followed it up with a cross country championship that next fall. So it was five titles in like a 4-year period,
Wow. Yeah.
with COVID in there and everything, like,
Yeah.
so there probably would have been a couple more, right? Like,
Yeah.
so